Alright, hello everyone, it's Mr. Punkwist from Bound, and I've made a lot of commentaries on this channel. If you look back through them though, you'll probably notice that most of them are all about me talking about things I don't like in the games I play. I still try to keep it from just being like mindless bashings of the series, but it's definitely not like me gushing either. And since the next three commentaries I have planned will pretty much be more of that, I thought I'd instead space it out with a good old-fashioned praise video, similar to the commentary I made back in Forsaken launch about the Daily Powerful Rewards. Basically, this will just be 3 minutes of me being unapologetically hyped about certain levels, characters, game modes, game mechanics, or just an entire game in general. This isn't a series for the record, I'm not trying to set this up as a series, but this first one will be focused on Cranked, arguably the fastest and most arcadey game mode ever introduced into the series, ironically premiered in COD Ghost, a game known for just being extremely slow, which is kind of what I love about this game mode. To steal and then completely misuse an analogy from a strange biology teacher, it's like seeing a blade of grass growing through your cement prison cell walls, the one bit of fun in a sea of meh. Now, since this video is supposed to be a bit of a celebration, I won't go that deep into my opinions on Ghost, but let's just say it is not one of my favorite CODs. However, the one thing during that year that kept me coming back was Cranked. It just felt like how I imagined COD in my head whenever I'm not playing, or like all those stupidly hyped multiplayer trailers we get before release. I'm assuming that's because of the increased movement speed and all the other buffs you get, but I also think there's something unique about specifically IW Cranked that makes it so it couldn't have come out during a Treyarch or Sledgehammer release originally. That something is the time to kill. Now, I could be wrong about this. Maybe I drank the Kool-Aid and just believed what all the COD YouTubers were saying when I was younger, but I believe there is a difference between the three developers in regards to time to kill. Treyarch time to kill is usually slower. BO1 and BO4 spring to mind instantly for me, although I could understand if you don't count BO4 because of the health change. But even BO3, a jetpack COD, feels way slower compared to the other two jetpack CODs of that era, besides the fact that Infinite Warfare's time to kill was like 0.2 seconds or some shit. Sledgehammer seems right down the middle. They seem to jump between IW and Treyarch's time to kill, especially if you count MW3 as a partial Sledgehammer creation, based on how they helped Infinity Ward finish in multiplayer. But if I had to pin them down, I'd probably say they'd lean slightly more towards Treyarch's slower time to kill. But then you have Infinity Ward. Their time to kill is, I would say, outrageous in like 95% of the games. Could be biased. Maybe their time to kill is just too fast for my fucking old man eyes or something, but I'm just not a fan of it most of the time. But taking that time to kill and throwing in some better handling and movement speed, making it so you can gun any person stupid enough to be standing still in that game mode, just makes it feel like the perfect recipe to me. The lower time to kill inherent to IW games makes Cranked feel way more fast-paced even in the slowest games, and it's such a fast-paced game mode already that even the worst maps feel super fun to play, and the good maps feel phenomenally better. Quick little story time here. I remember playing Cranked during the Modern Warfare 19 season, and wondering why I liked the game mode so much, even though the only thing that changed between generic Modern Warfare multiplayer like TDM and Cranked was the Crank buff. I eventually guessed that I liked it so much because people play the game mode similarly to how everyone used to play regular COD. What I mean by this is that people just W-key into every gunfight, they use weird gimmicky weapons, and basically just things like that, make the game more fun for everyone. And sure, there will be people playing normally, but at least for me, it was way easier to ignore them in Cranked as opposed to TDM. Basically, it felt like TDM before the event of everyone playing TDM like an agoraphobic. Because of that, it accidentally becomes like a perfect evolution of what Kill Confirmed was originally made for, allegedly. Based on what I remember from the Modern Warfare 3 reveal event, Kill Confirmed was basically created to try and combat the camping problem in non-objective game modes like TDM. So what did they do? They turned TDM into an objective game mode, and Cranked is an extension of that philosophy. Instead of picking up the objective or capping an objective or following an objective, you yourself become one. And if there's one thing that COD kids care about more than anything, it's themselves. But fixing that type of problem, which is like so goddamn nebulous compared to like nerfing a weapon type, is why I can't stop praising the simplicity of Cranked. And I'll fully admit that it's complete speculation on my part about IW creating Cranked as another attempt to cool the TDM campers. I also can't promise you that you'll have the same experience as I do / did when playing Cranked, or if time to kill is an even noticeable factor to the large majority of COD players, especially in game modes like Cranked, or even in general actually. But I just feel like I have to give credit where credit is due and honestly commend IW for making something really fun. And to fill my double quota of complaining and talking about jetpack CODs, how the heck did we only get Cranked in one jetpack COD? To be fair, I don't want it in AW because just thinking about AW Cranked is giving me a stroke, but I feel like Black Ops 3 Cranked would have been amazing. Anyways, this is Mr. Punkwist from Evermore Bound, signing out. I'll see you guys next time.